Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. Just yesterday, the College Football Playoff Committee released their final set of rankings, which of course included some of the best games of the bowl season, the 2 College Football Playoff semifinal games, and then the other 4 New Year's Six bowl games. Today we are here to just take a look at these games to preview what will be some of the better games of bowl season and kind of tell you what to expect going into these games later on in December. We are not here to predict these games by any means. That will come later, closer to the time of these kickoffs, where we predict all 40 bowl games, individual videos for every single bowl game, including these New Year's Six bowl games, including the playoff, and including the national championship game. But today we just kind of want to give a brief overview of what to expect for these games, the ones that will be probably the most anticipated over the course of this month. So we'll start over here with the first playoff semifinal game, number 1 LSU taking on number 4 Oklahoma. And we knew going into Selection Sunday that these were going to be the top 4 teams in the country: LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and Oklahoma. After everything that went down on Conference Championship weekend, we knew this is the way it was going to shape up. We just didn't exactly know what the seeds were going to be like. Was LSU going to have enough jump Ohio State for that 1 spot, or was LSU going to remain at 2? We believe the Tigers should have been number 1, and that's exactly what the committee chose. So in the Peach Bowl, you're going to have 2 dynamic offenses, Joe Burrow and LSU, one of the best in the entire country, going up against Jalen Hurts in Oklahoma, once again, one of the more explosive and dangerous offenses in the entire country. 2 phenomenal quarterbacks going at it for a spot in the national championship game. You look at Oklahoma, while yes, they are being led by Jalen Hurts, who has not played at Oklahoma prior to this year, he does have college football playoff experience. Other players on this Oklahoma squad have college football playoff experience because they have yet to fail to make it under Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley has gone to college football playoff every single year as head coach of the Sooners. So that could give the Sooners a bit of an edge in this one. They've been unable to make it past the semifinal round, but could they finally do it against LSU and pull off a huge upset in the Peach Bowl? So something to keep your eye on there. Should be a very fun, high-scoring game, one that's going to be decided by defense in the end. Over in the Fiesta Bowl, we have a rematch between Ohio State and Clemson. If you remember just a few years ago, these 2 teams met in the college football playoff at the Fiesta Bowl. And Clemson was the one that won that game 31-0. They shut out Urban Meyer, J.T. Barrett, and the Ohio State Buckeyes and went on to the national championship game. I would expect things to be a little bit different this time around. A lot of things have changed in the past few years. But Clemson's one of those teams, guys, that, they're one of the top 4 teams in the country, yet no one's talking about them. And I think a lot of people in the comments will probably disagree with that, but really, when you think about it, everyone's talking about LSU, Ohio State, maybe even Oklahoma. But after that Clemson win over North Carolina by 1 point, I think everybody kind of forgot about it. It was, Clemson's not that good anymore. They're struggling. Trevor Lawrence is struggling. They're not a good enough top 4 team. Their strength of schedule is no good, this and that. And we just kind of disregarded them. But that's exactly what happened to Clemson last year. And in this same position, playing in the 2-3 matchup, they annihilated Notre Dame and then annihilated Alabama in the national championship game. Clemson is being slept on. Dabo Swinney knows it. Dabo Swinney's not happy about it, and you can bet if he's not happy about it, that his players are not happy about it. I'm not saying that equals a win in the Fiesta Bowl over Ohio State, but it's something that the Buckeyes need to be concerned about. Once again, kind of like Oklahoma here, facing a team in Clemson that has tons of college football playoff experience. So a rematch in the Fiesta Bowl in a playoff semifinal game with a national championship berth on the line. Will it be Clemson again? We know it's not going to be Alabama Clemson this year, but it will be a Tiger Bowl between the LSU Tigers and Clemson Tigers, or will Ohio State and LSU come meet the national championship and kind of give everybody that dream title game that we kind of all are hoping for? All right, so we're going to take a look at the other 4 New Year's Six bowl games. Of course, these are the biggest ones. The college football playoff semifinal games are the ones that everybody is going to be watching out for, I believe, on December 28th. By far the biggest games of this postseason. But below it, we have some very high-quality games as well, starting with the Cotton Bowl. The committee released that one. Number 17, Memphis, taking on number 10, Penn State. So kind of an odd matchup there. Definitely better geographically for Memphis than for Penn State. And we kind of knew Memphis was going to be a lock for the Cotton Bowl. We knew that the highest ranked Group of 5 conference champion was going to go to a New Year's Six bowl game. And we figured that bowl game would be the Cotton Bowl. With Memphis' win over Cincinnati, who they beat in back-to-back weeks, with that win in the American Athletic title game, they were the highest ranked Group of 5 conference champion over the likes of Boise State from the Mountain West and Appalachian State of the Sun Belt. Memphis, though, did just lose their coach Mike Norvell to Florida State. He left to take the Florida State job. So you always wonder, how will the team respond with an interim head coach? How will the team respond after losing their coach that led them to this point all season long? How will they fare in their biggest game of the year against a very solid Penn State team who kind of got that at-large bid? Didn't play for a Big Ten title, but did take care of business in the regular season against some elite teams. Falling to Ohio State, of course, that was their downfall. It did not get them into the Big Ten championship, did not get them in to the college football playoff. But they have a very tough test against Memphis. Many are going to write the Tigers off here because of the loss of Norvell, because it's Penn State versus a Group of 5 team. We have seen Group of 5 schools play lights-out football in these stages before. Houston over Florida State, Central Florida over Auburn, and Central Florida nearly did it again last year against LSU in the Fiesta Bowl. Do not count out the Memphis Tigers in the Cotton Bowl. It's going to be a very, very fun one on December 28th. We got the Orange Bowl here between Florida and Virginia, and we're looking at it right now. This is probably the biggest mismatch of the New Year's Six bowl games. We knew that Virginia was probably going to get an Orange Bowl berth. Many thought that maybe it could have been Virginia Tech, but with the Cavaliers being technically the ACC runner-up, because they played in the ACC title game and fell bad to Clemson, 62-17. Despite that, they are technically the runner-up. They are the runner-up, so they get a berth to the Orange Bowl. Unfortunately, they have to play the 9th-ranked Florida Gators here, who will probably be without a couple of big-time starters. One of them, of course, being C.J. Henderson in the secondary, but have been playing some phenomenal football this season. And kind of like Penn State, had they taken care of Georgia, they could be in the college football playoff right now, depending on what had happened against LSU in the SEC title game. Florida is a team you do not want to overlook, and Florida is a team that is solid on both sides of the football. Virginia may get a punch in the mouth, a hit in the mouth in this game, going up against a hungry Gators team. You know, they took care of business last year in the Peach Bowl from Michigan in Dan Mullen's first year. What a way to start your tenure there by winning back-to-back New Year's Six bowl games, and different ones at that. This is going to be a very big mismatch game. Not laying our prediction yet, but out of all these 6 games, that is the one that is more than likely going to be a bigger blowout, unless Virginia just wants to shock the nation. We got the Rose Bowl here. I got to say, this is my favorite New Year's Six bowl game. It's not in a Peach Bowl. It's not the Fiesta Bowl. It's not a playoff matchup. It's the Rose Bowl here. Obviously, the granddaddy of them all. One of the best bowl games every single year in college football. This one's going to be a thriller because if you go back and look, I love the history first off. I love the history of the Rose Bowl game. But I love the history between Oregon and Wisconsin. Because if you go back to 2012, these two teams met in the Rose Bowl in an absolute thriller. Oregon, then led by Chip Kelly, beating Wisconsin, then led by Brett Bielema, 45-38. It was a shootout. Oregon trailed in the fourth quarter, scored 10 points in the fourth quarter, shutting out the Badgers. I mean, absolute thriller. So we've got a rematch here in 2019, 7 years later. Yes, it is going to be very different from what we saw back in 2012. But at the same time, you just can't help but look at the history, and you can't help but look at the same style of offense that these two teams are playing and think that we could be in for a similar result. Oregon winning the Pac-12 in dominating fashion over Utah. You know, once again, you look at that. Utah wins that game over Oregon, wins the Pac-12. We're looking at a completely different playoff and maybe a different slate of New Year's Six bowl games. That's how much one game can impact the slate of the postseason. But Oregon jumping up all the way to number 6 for this Rose Bowl game. Wisconsin blowing that 21-7 lead over Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. Looked like they were going to really shake some things up, but Ohio State proved why they were the number 1 team in the country at the time, proved why they were a college football playoff contender, and jumped back over Wisconsin, winning that game by 13. So you've got Oregon and that pass-happy offense with Justin Herbert, but Should not be forgotten about C.J. Verdell, who just torched one of the best rushing defenses in the nation in Utah, a team that was only allowing a little over 50 rushing yards per game. Verdell had over 200 against them in the Pac-12 title game. And then you got Wisconsin, who we know is a ground and pound type of school with Jonathan Taylor, but has really improved their passing game under Jack Cohn. I was impressed with him in the season finale against Minnesota, and he looked very sharp at times against Ohio State. So a fun one here in the Rose Bowl. Top 10 matchup. Number 6, number 8. History involved. Granddaddy have them all. One of the best bowl games of the 2019 postseason. Not just New Year's 6, but out of every single bowl game we have listed. And then we've got the Sugar Bowl here. Georgia making a return trip there. Were unable to win the SEC championship game for the second year in a row. So that is why they're coming back down to New Orleans to take on the 7th-ranked Baylor Bears. One of the biggest surprise teams in all of college football this season. 1-11 back in 2017. This year, 11-2 after their loss to Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game. So, what a job well done by Matt Rule in a span of 3 years, taking them from a 1-win team to an 11-win team and a chance to win a New Year's 6 bowl game. Georgia, like Florida, will probably be without a handful of their players that will either sit out due to injury or will sit out due to fear of injury as they prepare for the NFL draft. A lot of these elite schools, we're going to have that problem. I'm not a fan of it. I know a lot of the fans are not fans of it. I don't think it should be allowed, personally. But it is what it is. So that could be something that benefits Baylor in this game. Georgia failed last year in the Sugar Bowl, losing to Texas, of course, out of the Big 12. And many people said Georgia just simply wasn't motivated following that devastating loss to Alabama in the SEC title game. Will that be the case in 2019? Or will Kirby Smart try to right the ship and finally finish the season with some momentum over a Baylor team that is very, very good? Yes, there are some concerns on whether Charlie Brewer may play. Of course, he didn't even play the entire second half over Oklahoma, but I would assume he would be back for this game. Baylor's defense is one not to be reckoned with, and I'm expecting a low-scoring game in this Sugar Bowl. Both teams, solid offenses, but it's their defense that has carried them for the majority of this season. A very, very fun one down in New Orleans, also the site of the 2020 National Championship game. So, guys, there you have it. There's your New Year's 6 bowl game slate, guys. Once again, we're not here to predict these games yet. We will predict them as well as every single other bowl game over the course of this postseason. That's going to be starting on Sunday, so you definitely don't want to miss those. Every single bowl game, an individual video for every single bowl game as well. So you don't want to miss it. But we wanted to give you this preview of some of the bigger games to watch out for going in to December. You know, bowl games start on December 20th. These games taking place later towards the end of the month and some even at the beginning of the new year. But regardless, it's going to be some high-quality football that you do not want to miss. And we hope this video helps you get a little more excited and a little more knowledge in preparation for these games. So guys, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Make sure to like this video and check out everything we have for you in the description below. We got some exclusive college football content, and we've got some exclusive college football offers that you're not going to get anywhere else. So do not miss it. And once again, thank you for watching. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.